This is the president of El Salvador. He took a country from the murder capital of the world, where bodies littered the streets, and transformed it into one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere. He seemed to come out of nowhere, and by his 30s had achieved national celebrity. Social media is the basis of his government, and he brought a Bitcoin city to an impoverished nation. But behind his stunning achievements is a dirty secret, one that connects him to deadly gangs responsible for thousands of deaths. This is the story of Nayib Bukele, the young prince of El Salvador. Nayib Bukele's life began in luxury. His father was a leader in El Salvador's Muslim community, opening several mosques. But he was also a titan in the business world, a man who created a massive public relations company. While a bloody civil war raged on through the 1980s, where tens of thousands were killed and hundreds of thousands displaced, Nayib Bukele grew up in a privileged household in the country's capital, San Salvador. In just his first year of university, Nayib dropped out to work in his father's business. He was thrown into the world of advertising, public relations, and El Salvadoran politics. Nayib Bukele was introduced to the Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front, or FMLN. The FMLN wanted to topple the military government, redistribute wealth and land, and reduce inequality. Originally an armed resistance, it transformed into a conventional political party after the Civil War ended, and it needed Nayib's father's PR company to rebrand. As Nayib Bukele worked on the account, he found himself gravitating to the ideas of the party. He became a member, and by 2012, he was ready for politics. Starting with his election as mayor to the small town of Nuevo Cuscatlán, he proved himself to be an inspiring leader. The issues he talked about resonated with locals: crime, poverty, and education. He was a rich elite, but this worked to his advantage. He was applauded for donating his official salary, and after 3 successful years, Nayib was ready for a bigger stage. As the mayor of San Salvador, the country's biggest city, he was about to become a national celebrity. PR was his profession, and he was using it to reach a new, younger audience. His campaign didn't run ads on television, but instead on social media, calling out journalists on Twitter. Nayib carved out for himself a space as the millennial mayor. He wanted to implement radical economic policies, starting with rearranging the city and making it more inviting, revamping public spaces, building a library, rooftop bars, and making the city 100% Illuminato. His ideas for reform were to address systemic sources of crime rather than just punishing criminals, and he earned passionate support among people desperate for change. But his personality was a double-edged sword. Nayib was outspoken, even against his party.
Nuestro propio destino. Sin negociar con criminales, como lo hicieron los dos partidos que están en esa esquina.
He accused the FMLN of corruption. He showed up to a city council meeting to throw an apple at a party official, calling her a witch. Predictably, the party kicked him out, but this only empowered him to shoot for much higher ambitions than mayor. Nayib began making unexpected alliances, like with conservative politician Norman Quijano. Was Nayib finally showing his true colors? Or was he making deals to push forward his political career? Either way, he was about to make history and take over the country. In 2017, Nayib launched his own party and named it Nuevas Ideas. While his party was growing, his former FMLN was collapsing. Nayib followed the same playbook he had used to win the mayorship of Nuevo Cuscatlán, streaming directly to the people on Facebook Live and using Twitter to fight his political opponents. According to election rules, Nuevas Ideas was too new to compete in the election, and so Nayib ran under the banner of the Grand Alliance for National Unity instead. On election day, Nayib cruised to victory with 53.1% of the vote. He had shattered the two-party system that had dominated El Salvador's politics for 30 years. With that, Nayib Bukele became the youngest president in El Salvador's history, and it showed. Not just in the way he communicated, he got to work on some radical ideas. In 2021, he made Bitcoin legal tender, making El Salvador the first country to do it. Any business with the technology to accept it had to. An e-wallet called Chivo was launched, and citizens could now pay their taxes in Bitcoin. Nayib hoped it would generate jobs, bring financial inclusion, innovation, and tourism. It would also make it easier for people living outside the country to send back the $6 billion they did each year. And that wasn't it. He wanted to build a Bitcoin city next to the Conchagua volcano in the southeast part of the country. Transforming the area meant clearing forests, destroying the environment, and evicting locals. Fast forward to January this year, and Nayib's Bitcoin dream had collapsed. The Bitcoin city never came to fruition. And when El Salvador was forced to take a $1.4 billion bailout from the IMF, one of the conditions was to get rid of Bitcoin as legal tender. But Nayib's biggest achievement was on crime. In 2015, El Salvador was the murder capital of the world, a battlefield for narcotics gangs, where over 6,500 people were killed each year. In the space of 9 years, that number had plummeted down to 114, a 98% drop. How did Nayib achieve it? By throwing more than 80,000 people in prison, giving El Salvador the highest incarceration rate on the planet. A new $100 million prison, CGOT, was specifically designed for gang members. Conditions are brutal. Each cell can fit 100 prisoners, but only has toilets for 2 at a time. According to Nayib, this has been the key to deterring crime and homicide. The El Salvadoran people agreed. After a newly formed Supreme Court cleared the way for Nayib to run for president a second time, he won with an astonishing 84% of the vote. But were the criminals really scared to commit crimes? Or was something else going on behind the scenes? In 2021, the United States Treasury Department accused Nayib Bukele of doing a deal with the deadliest El Salvador gangs. Nayib was trading benefits for gang members in prison for peace on the streets. This was something he had accused members of his old party of doing. In fact, those 80,000 gang members arrested were targeted based on very little evidence. Sometimes, only an anonymous tip, living in a certain area, or even just having tattoos could be enough to get locked up. In one case, a 14 and 15-year-old were arrested off the street just for allegedly looking like criminals. And it wasn't only El Salvadorans going to prison. As part of a deal with the United States, Nayib agreed to take in illegal immigrants deported from the United States, regardless of their nationality. Even when one man was wrongly sent there, Nayib refused to send him back.
I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen.
The state of emergency that Nayib put El Salvador into continues to this day. It has been extended 27 times and counting. That means no right to protest, no right to a lawyer, and up to 15 days in prison without police needing to charge citizens. In the past, Nayib has made fun of the idea that he is an authoritarian. He changed his Twitter bio to dictator, and his profile picture to Sacha Baron Cohen as his character, the Dictator. Nayib Bukele had promised a new future for his people, breaking the two-party system and embracing modernity. Now, he has achieved complete control of the country, using the state's power to fight gangs. But questions remain around how close his administration has been working with the criminal underworld, and how many innocent people might already have been thrown in prison. Let us know what you think about Nayib Bukele in the comments below. Has he done a good job, or is he corrupt? The criminal underworld Nayib is fighting against has enormous power in Latin America. And the biggest drug lord is still on the loose. He eliminates politicians with a single order. He moves billions of dollars in product. And he hides in plain sight. Click here to watch the professional footballer with a dark, double life.